How's it going? I'm Santino. I'm going to show you how to do a binding mount. So we have our skis ready up on here. I've clamped them down to the vices so they won't move around as I'm manipulating the jig itself. So we have our bindings right here. Looks like, according to the box and the instruction guide, we have an ST Rotation 14. That is the brand we'll be going with. So we have a couple different heel and toe pieces for the jig. We want to make sure we have the correct heel and toe piece, because if you don't, we can misdrill, and we don't want to do that because these skis are literally worth $1,800. So we're gonna go with this one. This is our toe piece, and you can see it has ST Rotation 10, 12, and 14. So that would be exactly what we need. And then we'll be looking for the heel that will correspond with that. It looks like it's going to be this one. ST Rotation 10, 12, and 14. ST Rotation 10, 12, and 14. Cool. We'll take our jig up here. The heel and toe piece will be hanging here, so you'll see them hanging there when we're done. I just want to lay them all out. So, we got our toe piece here. We'll basically slide it right in here. And then these bits will sit right in these grooves. And bam, just like that, it's in. And then for the rear, for the heel, it slides in those same black pieces. Will sit right in there. Perfect. Now, we're gonna loosen these bits up because this will help us adjust the size for the boot that we have here. So this is the customer provided boot. This we'll be using to get the job done. Either one will work because they're both the same size. And it's 322 millimeters, as you can see right there. That's a good way to tell how big the binding or boot is. So we're gonna be hooking it in just like that. We're gonna push these out to allow for the heel piece to slide in, and then make sure it's all snug right there. And then when that's good, we're gonna tighten these down so when we're mounting, it's not gonna move on us. Make it nice and tight. Bam, right there. Okay, that should slide right out. No problem here. Coolio. Next step, we're putting the jig on the ski. Looks like it slides right on. I've talked to the customer. He wants us to put it on the center mount. So you can see here on the jig itself, you can go up or down in millimeters if someone wants to be more back on their skis or more forward on their skis, depending on what kind of riding they want to do. They can do that, but right now we'll be just hooking it up with the red line there. So you close it by just turning these. You can eye it up, but there's a few ways to do it. You can put a piece of tape right along the red line and you can line it up that way. The way I'm going to be doing it is just using the file, straight file. Looks like a little off. So I'm going to move it over just a little bit. Looking right down the center of it. You can never check enough times. It's always better to check multiple times and cut once, and check one time and cut once and be sorry. So I would say that's pretty good right there. And make sure it's nice and tight, just like that. You got some directional arrows to show you how to tighten it down. All right. And then we're gonna be checking the bottom of the jig to make sure that it's on the ski itself. There's gonna be some feet that will be touching the ski. I don't know if you can see them, but we don't want the jig to be askew or on an angle or anything like that. So we're in good shape right there. So talk about our redundancies. So I'm just going to take the heel pieces here and just kind of line them up, make sure that I'm going for purple. Right, so we got the ST Rotation 14, and that'll correspond to the purple around these rings. So we'll be only drilling those pieces. Same thing for the rear. Looks like it will be the ST Rotation 14 and the purples here. So, like I said, it's always good to check multiple times before we start drilling. All right, so we're lined up with the center line. Our boot fits just because I am skeptical of myself. I'm gonna just check one more time just to make sure that the boot fits, and it surely does.
Measure twice and cut once.
That's what Jeremy says. That's what my dad says. That's what good craftsmen say.
Send a salami to your boy in the army.
That's what you say. That's what you say. All right, so we are lined up. We have the right jig. We are in great shape right here. Now we're gonna go on to the drilling portion of the procedure. So we have a couple different bits here. We've got our 4.1 by 9 millimeter, our 4 by 9 millimeter, and our 3.5 by 9 millimeter. And we also have our 3.5 by 9 millimeter. This is going to be our standard bit that we're going to be using for most skis. You want to use the 3.5 by 9 or the 3.5 by 9.5 for skis that do not have a metal top sheet. And I can tell just by looking at this thing that this thing does not have a metal top sheet. So I'm going to be using this, and this will be perfectly sufficient. If you do have a ski that has a metal top sheet, you're going to want to use one of these 4.1 or 4 drill bits for something that is more dense. Let's see. Looks like this one's out of battery, so I'm going to go get a battery real quick. All right, cool. So we got our new battery. We'll be good there. I'm just going to make sure to tighten this up here. Make sure it's nice and tight. Make sure it's not wobbling around. All right, so when you're doing this, you're gonna wanna do full blast. I'm on 1 instead of 2, just to be safe. Take your time with this procedure. We got our purple here, purple here. Gotcha. All right, so you're gonna feel a drop when you're drilling. You're gonna be drilling hard. I put my pressure on top, make sure it's not sideways or messed up. I try to just put my pressure right on top. And right when you feel that drop, that's when you stop drilling, because that's how you know this bit has gone completely through. So you're about to see in a second. Just like that. Just like that. You don't want to drill through the ski, so right when you feel that drop, it's over. Bam. Just like that. That's basically the basics right there. Blowing that out real quick. Want to do these. There are some holes. I'm just gonna blow these out real quick. All right, so we have our holes drilled out. I blew them out with compressed air, so there's no fragments in there or anything like that. What you want to do is get some of your wood glue. And you want to put a couple dollops just right in there. See if I can nail it. All right, bam. This will keep the screws from moving over time. Just a little bit goes. I'm going to start with that. Here's our binding. This piece will go in the front. This little cat will be facing back. I'm just going to line them up with the hole. All right. And then I'm just going to start them off by just screwing them in by hand. And I'm just gonna do a little bit for each one, Just like putting a car tire on, you want to do a bit of a star pattern. Just take your time with it. Cool. We're definitely in there now. And you'll kind of start to feel it get tougher as you go in further. And you don't want to use all your brute force on this one. Just feel it, you know. Make sure it's snug, but you don't want it to come out either. So find that nice balance. Okay. You'll kind of feel them stop at a certain point. You want to make sure that the binding is very flat. And them shits ain't going nowhere.
They seem to be pretty in there.
They surely are. And when you have a good thing, don't fuck it up. So I'm just gonna leave it right there. And you can see right there, the binding is completely flat and flush. That's exactly what you want.
No movement
That's right.
of any sort.
And we'll do the same thing for the rear.
Santino, fill that shit up.
I will, and I am. It doesn't look like I put enough in there. Oh yeah. That'll be sufficient for sure. Then we'll get one of our heel pieces. If I could find the one I placed here not too long ago. Here it is. Just like the front, I will line it up with the holes here. I'm just gonna get them in there. When you have some comfortability over time, you can use a drill, but be careful because that could be the very end.
Of your $1,800 piece.
Right, and I'm gonna push this piece down so I can access these screws here. And just like I did before on the front toe piece, I'm gonna do the star pattern. Getting them in there. And the rear. This is a T20 bit I'm using. Alright, so we're in there, and now I'm just going to be tightening things down here and there.
And show them this again. The movement of this, like, down and then.
Yeah, so like that's how you're going to be able to access the screw if I just push it all the way in just like that. Looking pretty flush. Nice. So far, so good. Right now, I'm just kind of looking at the flushness because I get paranoid about stripping things.
It's looking pretty good.
I'd say so. A little more work on the front. Yeah, you'll kind of feel that tension build up over time. When you think it's good, don't force it, because you might be liable for an $1,800 pair of skis. But also, confidence is key. If you don't feel like you're confident in doing this, you may fuck up. But I feel pretty good about it. So
Sweet.
I'm gonna
And
check to see
then
if they're flush, which they are. Looks good to me. Alrighty, cool. So we got our bindings mounted. They're nice and solid. Didn't force them, so those are solid. Ain't going nowhere. Didn't strip anything. Now we got our boot here, the ultimate test. You're gonna want this. It's gonna be in this position probably when you first mount it. So you're just gonna want to make sure it's in the popped up position. Then you're gonna want to line these little nubs up with these nubs. So you get right in there. Oop. Perfect. And then just push down real hard as if someone was stepping on it. Perfect. All right. And then we want to check to see the gap here between the actual heel piece and the heel of the boot. And it looks like the clearance is perfect. So I'll take that. And this guy, he wants his dins set at 11. So we're gonna set them for him. We'll take a small screwdriver and we're gonna be entering this hole right here. You're not gonna wanna do this one. This one will move it back and forth, or we're just trying to adjust the din, which will be
That looks about 11, doesn't it?
That's about it right there. Because you can see the 10 will lead up right onto that spot. So we'll keep them right like a tad above 10. That's perfect. So this guy's not going to want to snap out too easily. So snap it back into place. Keep missing it. There it is. And maybe it's a little too tight. So for these bindings, it's good to know when you turn right, it'll get looser. So make sure that when you're tightening, usually it's going to be loosening. So just a couple of screw turns there. Perfect. And you can see that gap. It's about a credit card's gap. So this guy's good to go, man. Still at 11. This guy's gonna be a happy skier. And you'll do this exact same procedure for the other ski as well. Just follow the steps in this video. Rock on. Right on. So this is the other ski we just mounted. Just wanted to clarify a couple things. So here's our gap. You can see that it's way too, there's way too much gap in there. So you're gonna wanna turn to the left to tighten. And you're gonna wanna see that little nub. Like I said, you want it to be about credit card's distance away. You want to do it horizontal. So it's going to be about a credit card's distance away or less. You don't want it more than a credit card. So I'm going to throw it right there. And we've set our dins already. Also, a good way to know that you've done your mount correctly, you'll have your center line, which is that green line here, and it'll line up with your boot center line. So you can see right there, it's directly over it. So we've done our job correctly. The mount is done. The Phantom is done. It's time for the customer to pick up after we print the invoice and give them a call. Ha ha!